prepping my Lodge Dutch oven. And I got the oven on the lowest temperature, 170. This is just to dry it because I just washed it and I want to make sure it's 100% dry, thoroughly dry, before seasoning it. While we're on the subject of cast iron, there's some others I've been working on. Okay, folks, I'll be back. So, got the oil back on it. I'll show you what oil and stuff that I use. I had the lid upside down simply because in the name and some of the writing it's in the cast iron, I'm not able to get all the oil drops out with a paper towel like I would like. And yeah, some people say don't use paper towels because they can leave the fibers. I haven't really had a big issue with that yet. It's just all that I have access to. I wish I had some better rags or something to use that didn't leave fibers. So that's why the tin foil is down now, is so that the drops of oil don't go to the bottom of the oven. So let's take a look at the rest of the Dutch oven. So this is the oil I use. I would probably use bacon grease, but my family and I don't eat pork. I'm not going to get into that now. So this is what I found. It seems to work really the best for myself and my family. Nature's Way Organic Flax Oil. It's found, personally I get it here at the local Fred Meyer's, and yes, it's in a refrigerated section. What I have found out over the years is that okay, hopefully you can hear me better. I'll turn that fan off. Sorry. What I found out over the years of this, in the more recent years maybe I should say, is the most important part about it may not be so much the oil that's used, the grease shortening, is the thin layer that's put on, so the oil doesn't gum up and stuff. I was having problems with that at first, and I found that I was putting way too much on. And as you can tell, there's right there, there's probably some around the edge of this. I'm not overly concerned about this because I don't, typically cook right there. And I cook in here. Might actually still be a little bit more. I don't know. I've done this pan a bunch of times. I'm only just kind of refreshing it, so to speak, right now, simply because it's been since last year during camping that it was used. Cast iron in the house, except for one, I think 12-inch pan that we have, or 8-inch pan, doesn't really get used as much, and that's okay. It does for camping. So let's get this in the oven. Now I would typically offset, so to speak, the lid from the bottom part, but for some reason when I put the tin foil down and put the lid in, I just put it in the center. I don't think there's a big deal. I know that the oil inside the actual Dutch oven part, I know there's not enough that's going to drip off and make puddles. And I do use the lid for cooking, the inside part of the lid. So now, move this off the vent from my oven, and we will bake this. I wish that it would go up to about 700 degrees. That would be my optimal. From all of my research and studying, I would prefer to cook this at 700, but this oven only goes to 750. So now what I do, whoops, I pushed the wrong button. That's what I do. See? Get this back up to 550, which is as high as this oven goes. And then I'll push the start this time. And it'll take about 25 minutes to preheat. And once it's preheated to 550, then I set a timer for an hour. And then at that hour, I turn it down, or excuse me, I turn it off and leave. Don't even open the door for a minimum of an hour. But I've found it seems to do better if you actually wait for 2 hours. Even at 2 hours, on a house it's, you know, like 68 degrees inside the house, and with the window open and fans going, it was still really warm to the touch at 2 hours. So I think for me, once again, the most important parts are to make sure it's a thin layer of oil you're putting on, very thin layer, and you don't want it to puddle. And then let the oven preheat with the stuff in there. Set it for an hour and let it cool down for 2 hours before opening the oven door. And do this like about 4 times before, when I have brand new cast iron, before I use it. I did it for about 4 times the first time, and it seemed to do really well. And once again, Nature's Way organic flax oil. This has been the best stuff that I have found so far. Let's see, did I cover everything I wanted to cover? I did take off the handle this time of the Dutch oven. Sometimes with this particular Dutch oven, these hooks are really difficult to bend, and I don't want to bend them a whole lot, so I don't always do that, but this time I did. Alright folks, I hope that somebody somewhere finds this video informative and helpful. Let's see, I guess that the next time I talk about cast iron, maybe I'll talk about some ways I've found to clean it. And yes, I do use soap. That's a lot of people say not to, and if that works for them, that's fine. But all right, have a great day. So I wanted to put my my handle back on, and I went back and looked at the picture I took, because I wanted to make sure to get it on right, so that if I'm actually using this over an open fire, it sits like this, or it can lay flat. But really quick, this is my Lodge Dutch oven, less than 10 years old, bought it brand new. I'm not sure why it's a little bit different discolored right there, maybe too thick of oil, but this is the part I'm more concerned about. This is the part I might cook on. I've done bacon. Of course, I don't eat pork bacon anymore, so it'd be like chicken, turkey bacon, but you can fry things on this. I've done that before. And of course, the inside. Hopefully this is showing up good on the camera. Look at that. Like I said earlier in the video, or the other video actually, is that my takeaway is not so much the oil. Although there's some people that really highly recommend and believe that you need oil that's got a high smoke point, and when you're seasoning the cast iron, that you want to push that oil past its smoke point. I'm not sure that I 100% understand that completely, but from my knowledge, I kind of agree. So, I lost my train of thought. Go figure. A guy that can talk about anything to anybody. I turn on that stinking camera and unless I'm ranting about something, I tend to do that. All right. Well, folks, I think that about wraps it up. Remember, when you're doing this, a real thin coat of oil. Real thin coat of oil. And bake it at 550 or 700 if you can get your oven up to 700. And do it for an hour. Let it rest for 2 hours would be optimal. And even at 2 hours, it's still going to be hot to the touch. Obviously, I shouldn't have to say that, but I don't want you sticking your hand in the oven thinking, oh man, it's 2 hours later and you can just grab onto it. No, I don't think you want to do that. All right. Hope you all enjoyed the video. It's a little bit different type of video than what I do, but it has to do with camping, which is up my alley of videos. It's, you know, not really got much to do with two-way radios, although I use my two-way radios when I'm camping, and I use my cast iron when I'm camping. God bless. Have a wonderful day. 73. I forgot to mention, and I know these two products probably go against one of the food groups I'm part of, and I won't mention any names. I'm gonna have to probably get admin approval if I'm even allowed to post this video. So I almost always, whenever I'm cooking, almost no matter what I'm cooking, even if I'm gonna cook up when my family ate pork, I would spray, most generally, I would spray a tiny bit of this on before cooking, before getting the pan hot even. Then after you're done cooking, you go to wash it, whether you use soap, whether you don't use soap, however you clean it. Once it's clean, not necessarily every time, use some type of oil. It hasn't been till just recent years that my wife and I, or at least me, have gotten more into using better cooking oil and stuff. So, but what I do is after it's clean and after it's dry, put it on the stove. If it's a Dutch oven, I'll put it in the oven actually, and I'll get it up, you know, probably like 300 degrees. But mainly this is talking about like skillets. I'll get it up and I'll put a tiny bit of oil and I'll just rub and I'll rub it around the pan until it's soaked in there. Then let the pan cool before putting it away. Okay, now have a great day.